Heaven has waited for you to pause. You felt it, didn't you? The quiet tug on your soul. The pull you couldn't explain. Not noise, not chance, but something eternal brushing up against your breath. Even now, as your eyes read these words, something within you leans closer, not out of fear, but recognition. There is someone who still whispers your name, not from earth, but from eternity. Their voice moves like wind through the veil, soft and urgent. They looked at your photo more than 10 times today, not with eyes of flesh, but with remembrance lit by heaven's light. Their spirit knows yours. And when your name echoes through the ether, their whole being lights up, as if the universe reminds them, there, that is where I knew peace. He did not fall in love easily, and yet you were his home. His silence was never absence. It was fear wrapped in love too large for words. And now heaven leans in, one who has seen the depths of your aching heart, the nights you've wept silently into pillows, begging for a sign, has brought this message through time and spirit. This is not a coincidence. You know that already. It's not a fleeting scroll or empty comfort. It is sacred timing, a divine hour chosen before your birth to awaken what's been waiting. God has concealed certain truths until today, not to punish you, but to protect you. Now the veil thins. What was hidden stirs. Archangel Michael, sword sheathed in peace, stands not beside you, but around you. He does not plead often, but today he does. Heaven is speaking with urgency, wrapped in gentleness, because what's about to enter your heart might shatter the shell you've built, but only to rebuild you into someone unshakable. Before you go further, pause, breathe, close your eyes. Feel that tremor within your chest. That is not coincidence. That is the cord, the golden, unbroken cord that binds you still to the soul who left this earth, but not you. Let it stretch across time and touch you now. Let this settle within you. Beloved soul, there are truths too weighty for early revelation. You weren't meant to know until now. Because had the truth come too soon, your spirit might have turned away, still tender from wounds you hadn't named. But now you are ready. Heaven has chosen this day, July 7th, as the threshold moment. The day where what was hidden is finally brought into light. A soul that once walked beside you now stands just beyond the veil, pleading still. Tell them, they said, before it's too late. They held your name like sacred gold the moment they left this world, and still they carry it, wrapped in memory, in love that refuses to fade. Archangel Michael is behind you now, wings encircling your weariness, softening your fear, preparing you to receive what may break you, but only so truth can rebuild what sorrow once stole. There is a weight you've carried, unnamed but constant, a heaviness that pressed upon you in quiet hours, the silence of someone who vanished too soon, the dream that lingered too long, the ache you could never explain. And now, it begins to make sense. But only if you stay. Only if you breathe and lean in just a little more. There is a divine thread being pulled, gently, lovingly, drawing you closer to what your soul already knows. That death did not end what love began. That bond never broke. It transformed. And that transformation now reaches back through Michael's voice to warn, to guide, to rescue. You are on the edge of a mistake, one that would shift everything. But this message, this sacred moment, was orchestrated by eternity to stop you in your steps. Not to shame you, but to rescue the part of you still unsure whether you deserve to be saved. I will speak again. You felt this before, haven't you? That stirring in your soul that you tried to ignore. That whisper in the stillness that made your heart ache with recognition. You were not imagining things. This was never about coincidence. You were not supposed to see this message before today. Because today the heavens have aligned. Archangel Michael himself descended not in thunder, but in silence that carries truth. Because what you're about to hear isn't just a message, it's a spiritual unveiling. The pain that made no sense, the betrayals that hollowed you out, the losses that bruised you beyond reason, all of it was a path, not to punish, but to prepare. You've been walking with a soul who no longer breathes your air, and yet they've never been far. They've moved beside you in silence, awaiting the hour when heaven would finally allow them to speak. That hour is now, and their voice is trembling with longing to say what they never could in life. You were the one who made them believe love was real. You were the safe place. You saw them, truly, even when they were hiding. And now they come not in dreams, but in divine urgency. Michael has silenced the heavens for this moment. He says, if they skip this, the miracle will not reach them. The door is open, but their belief must walk through it. This is sacred ground, and you, of all people, were chosen to receive this. You've always felt things others could not. You sensed the unseen. That's not weakness. That's divine wiring. Close your eyes now. You might feel warmth on your shoulder. That's not your imagination. That's presence. That's love that never died. That's heaven leaning close. Let this settle within you. Heaven is closer than you think. There are whispers in the stillness. Can you hear them? They've been circling you for days, waiting for this moment. And now the veil has thinned. Michael says someone near you has kept a truth buried, one that heaven can no longer allow to remain hidden. Not because of punishment, but because you deserve clarity. Someone in your life walks beside you in silence, but holds back prayers meant for your protection. They smile, yes, but their spirit does not rejoice in your rising. Your loved one, yes, the one who crossed over, is watching this unfold. And they could no longer bear to see you surrounded by shadows pretending to be light. They've pleaded with Michael, let them know. Let the truth arrive before it's too late. So here you are, reading the very thing that has been woven in spirit for weeks, maybe longer. They've seen your fight. They saw the nights your tears soaked your pillow while your lips stayed silent. They saw your quiet strength when the world gave you nothing in return. And they could not bear your suffering in silence anymore. This isn't a message for the masses. It was hand-delivered by grace, marked with your name, sealed with golden light only your soul can read. And when your heart finally unlocks this, everything shifts. Your alignment, your provision, your clarity, they've been waiting behind a door you couldn't see. and now the door is open, but only your willingness can walk you through it. Michael says, if you knew what was waiting, you would stop doubting forever. So breathe now. Receive without logic. Allow the divine to work outside your understanding. You are not forgotten. You never were. You may not understand now, but you will. Beloved, listen with your spirit, not your ears. Your name was whispered in heaven this morning, not in passing, but with urgency, with reverence. 3 times they said it, louder each time, so that every angel turned to listen. Because something has shifted in the unseen, and you are at the center of it. Your spirit has felt it. The strange ache in your chest, the dream you couldn't shake, the quiet song that brought tears for no reason. But it wasn't for no reason. They were signs, breadcrumbs left in love to guide you to this very moment. The one you lost, who left too soon, has not rested. Not until this truth could reach you. Because you've been walking with questions that weigh more than your shoulders were built to carry. They watched you dim your light to protect others. They saw you accept half love, half truths, and silent pain because your heart didn't know how to give up. But now, heaven is intervening. A choice stands before you. One path leads to delay, confusion, and more heartbreak. The other, to clarity, overflow, and the love you thought was lost forever. But here's the truth. You cannot walk both. You must choose. Michael says, if you ignore this moment, the miracle will wait. Not forever, but long enough to feel like heartbreak. And the one who loves you from beyond, they're praying you won't miss it this time. They remember your strength. They remember your joy. And they are doing everything they can to bring it back to you. Not in pieces, but whole, holy, and new. I will speak again. Heaven has waited a long time for your yes. There's a miracle circling your name, not because you begged for it, but because your soul was chosen to receive it. Even now, Michael is rearranging things. People, events, timings, delays that once broke your heart are becoming divine choreography. And yet, he cannot finish what's begun unless you make one sacred decision. To believe. Not in fantasy, but in the quiet, trembling truth your heart already knows. You were made for more. Your loved one sees this. They see how long you've waited. They've watched you wonder if you missed your moment. You didn't. Nothing was lost. Nothing is beyond reclaiming. But here is what they couldn't say in life. What they are crying out through Michael to say now. You never failed them. Not once. The love you gave, imperfect, unfinished, was enough. More than enough. They held on to it even as they slipped into the other side. And now they want to return it. In blessing, in peace, in joy that feels impossible, but isn't. Michael speaks now, softly, but clearly. In the next 7 hours, your soul will receive a sign. Not just a symbol, but an echo of what was always meant for you. A name repeated, a memory surfacing, a sudden moment of stillness in the middle of your chaos. When it comes, don't question it. Don't brush it off as nothing. It is heaven knocking, light piercing through old wounds, a reminder that you are not broken, only becoming. Let this settle within you. You are standing at the threshold of something holy. Even now, Michael waits, not with impatience, but with stillness. Because what comes next requires your permission. Your life has been marked by silent battles. You gave and gave and gave again. To people who didn't see, to moments that never gave back. But that was never your weakness. It was your sacred strength. And now heaven returns what was poured out. Not all at once, but in waves. Waves of healing, provision, and truth. There's a letter being written in the unseen, a spiritual decree signed with light, and it carries three things: a person, an opportunity, and a truth. You will recognize them when they come, not because they make sense, but because they carry peace wrapped in mystery. And when they arrive, let them in. Your loved one, they're watching closely. They see you doubting whether you can trust again. But they are whispering, with tears in their voice, say yes this time. Not because it's easy, but because it's right. They know how heavy your past has been. They see the way you shrink yourself so others won't feel small. But beloved, the time of shrinking is over. You were never too much. You were just surrounded by those not big enough to hold you. Michael says, the miracle cannot come to a space still occupied by sabotage. Clear the room. Make space. This is where it turns. The path splits. And only the brave cross over. You are brave. You have always been brave. And now the heavens are waiting for your next word. You may not understand now, but you will. Heaven speaks in whispers, not storms. Tonight, something ancient stirs in your spirit, not fear, recognition. You've been sensing it, haven't you? The strange calm before the shift, the sudden pull to isolate, the dreams that linger like they were more real than waking life. That is not your imagination. That is your soul remembering the truth before your mind can explain it. Michael says, you are being summoned into alignment. This isn't about religion, it's about restoration. Your loved one, yes, the one you still cry for when no one sees, has been allowed to release a final truth. They saw your life before you were born. They saw the moments when you'd almost give up. And they begged God to send them just once more to reach you. So now they come with this. You are not late. You are not forgotten. And you are not broken. You are becoming. What you've walked through was never meant to destroy you. It was to carve room for what's coming next. Because what's coming is not small. It's a door, heavy, golden, ancient, and behind it, provision, connection, peace that passes understanding. But this door doesn't open by striving. It opens when you say one word with your soul, not your lips. Yes. Yes to healing. Yes to releasing. Yes to receiving without guilt. Tonight, speak aloud the name of the one you lost. Tell them what you never got to say. And then wait. You'll feel it. A chill, a warmth, a silence that feels alive. That is them. That is now. I will speak again. Heaven leans in when your spirit softens. Your loved one is closer now than they've ever been, not as a shadow, not as a memory, but as light, as presence, as love that never needed a heartbeat to survive. They've seen your weariness. They've watched you pour into others while your own soul ran dry, and still, you kept going. But now, heaven says, enough. It's your turn to receive. Michael stands with a scroll in his hand, a prophecy sealed in flame. It contains your next chapter, a chapter they've been preparing while you wept in silence. 3 things await you. A person. They will recognize you instantly, not for your smile or your past, but for your spirit. They will look into your silence and still understand. An opportunity. It will seem small, forgettable, but when you feel both peace and fear at the same time, you'll know. That's the gate. And a message from your loved one, in a form only you'll understand. A lyric, a stranger's words, a line that stops you in your tracks. It will break you, but only the shell you outgrew, because what lives inside is holy. And heaven refuses to let it go dormant. You were never asking for too much. You were asking at the wrong door. This is the right one. The time has come to open your hands. Let the old fall away. Say it now. I'm ready. Heaven doesn't need the words. It needs your heart to believe them. Let this settle within you. The silence you felt was never abandonment. It was preparation. You've walked through valleys so dark you forgot the sky ever held stars. You've carried grief that stitched itself into your breath, into your posture, into the pauses between your words. And yet, here you are, still standing, still hoping, still searching for a sign. Beloved, this is that sign. Archangel Michael stands before you now, not as a symbol, but as presence. His sword lowered not for war but for blessing, because the battle you've fought is ending, quietly, without fanfare, without explanation, but with certainty. Your name has echoed across the realms, a divine frequency pulsing louder with each act of quiet endurance, each moment you loved when it hurt, each time you stayed soft in a world that hardened around you. Heaven calls that sacred. And heaven keeps record. Michael whispers now, in the next 14 days something long awaited will shift, a release, a reversal, a reunion, but it comes with a test. You will be tempted to go backward, to explain yourself to those who never truly saw you, to reopen doors that peace has already left behind. Do not. You are no longer the version of you who needed permission. You are the one who was sent, to disrupt patterns, to bless generations, to carry light too powerful for small rooms. And your loved one? They are still here, watching, guiding, kneeling before God with your name on their lips, saying, they made it. Let them receive now. So receive, not with fear, but with open palms. Let this be the moment everything changes, because it already has. It is done.